Hey guys, I've got some alternative thoughts on purpose and purpose of life. So let's talk about it. So purpose is a tricky thing, right? Everyone kind of wants to know what their purpose is, but before that, you have to actually define the idea of purpose. Like, what is purpose? What does that mean to you exactly? Well, I've kind of got a different take on it. So, people sometimes say that purpose is what you're supposed to do in life. It's like your destiny. It's the thing that you were born to do, the one thing that you were born to do. Well, I don't think that's correct. I don't think that's true. And let me explain why. Let me take you back to elementary school. You guys remember when you were in fifth grade or whatnot? And I know one of my favorite classes was science class, right? And one of the things that we learned in science class was about the whole ecosystem. You remember that? The ecosystem is basically like a cycle, like one thing eats another thing, eats another thing, eats another thing, and then it dies, and then it becomes a plant, and that plant grows up, and then and then the other another animal eats that thing, and then the cycle continues or something like that, right? It's the ecosystem. It's a cycle. It's a circle, basically. Now, the thing about that ecosystem that is that if one thing gets out of whack of that ecosystem, then everything else is affected, right? One small thing could like drop out or change or something like that, and it's going to have an effect on the entire thing. Well, our lives are actually like that when you think about us in regards to the entire world or the history of the world or time or things like that. So you kind of have to think of life as this whole organism, a totality of something, and you are like one little thing within this entire circle. So if there's something that you don't do or do different, it actually affects the entire thing. So, believe it or not, if there's something that you do different than what you did in the past, if you went back in the past and did something, even if it's something slight, like you went to this restaurant instead of that restaurant, or even if you like tied your shoes a different way or something like that, it's going to have an effect on everything else. That is the entire world. And the entire history of time. So there's this concept called the butterfly effect, which is essentially basically if you went back in time and killed a butterfly, then went back to the future again, like things would be completely different. Like the United States would not have been formed, or like all of Europe would be. The population of men in Europe would have died off or something like that. Something crazy, something huge from this one little change in, essentially the ecosystem of time and humanity and things and life in general. And so that's kind of where I come to with this purpose idea is that to say that your life is only meant for this one particular event, this one particular thing, this one particular idea or whatever, I think is kind of minimizing the totality of who you are. Like something as simple as just meeting someone when you were younger, and then growing up to do great things, of course. But I still think that meeting that you had is as important as the great things that you would do later on, because you never know what might happen outside of your own life. Remember, this is more than just you. You're a part of this whole ecosystem of life. And so that person you talked to might have talked to another person, might have talked to another person. And that person that they talked to at the end of this thing might have ended up doing something just as great as what you did, And that's even if we're talking about the measure of importance is in the greatness of your, thing or your event or whatever it is that you do. The way I like to think about it is that your life, the totality of your life, your whole life is actually your purpose. And that's not to say that you shouldn't have something that you want to do or something that you're working towards or something that's super important for you. You should, of course, have that. In fact, I have a ton of videos on how to find that. But to minimize all the stuff that happened before it, and say that, oh, this is, I finally come to what I was supposed to do here, and it's not as important as the other things that happened to get me there, I think is inaccurate. All right, guys. So another kind of side effect or kind of consequence of thinking of your life as having one purpose and one thing is that, like, you kind of freak out if you don't know what it is, which ironically kind of actually prevents you from finding that thing, from finding what you would consider to be your purpose. Let me kind of explain. So when you're always worried about, dang, is this my purpose, or is this not my purpose, or things like that, you're always going to be second guessing yourself. And when you second guess yourself like that, you're hindering your progress. You're kind of checking yourself and not really moving along your path. And when you're doing that, it kind of breaks up your flow. It breaks up your expression. It breaks up your direction. And so it just causes even more obstacles to you actually doing your thing or expressing yourself in a way that would bring you to your quote unquote purpose anyway. Because people do have strengths, and people do have things that that just fit them very well within the world. And that's what we identify as purpose, because you're like, dang, you do this so well. This must be why you were put here. However, of course, we already talked about the verbiage of that. But I mean, people there, that thing does exist for everyone. But when you think of it as like, okay, so this is the single solitary thing that I'm supposed to be doing, then it kind of trips you up if you maybe don't exactly know what that is. So think of it more as you need to be heading in a direction where you can express yourself, and you will come upon that quote unquote purpose. However, if you're thinking like it has to only be this one thing, then you're going to restrict yourself and not even find your way there and keep worrying about it. Just focus on expressing yourself in your direction. Get yourself a direction and move in that direction. Okay, and that's usually a goal or some type of career maybe, or something like that. And I'll have another video on how to do that specifically. But once you find your direction, commit yourself to it, and then you can express yourself through that progress, through that journey, and then you will have that purpose that you're looking for. So that's basically it, guys. Down in the comments below, just let me know what you think. I mean, am I just completely off my rocker, or like, do any of you agree? Or what's your take on purpose? I'd love to hear. So just go ahead and leave some comments below, and I'll talk to you later. Hey guys, thanks for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you got something out of it. I hope you liked it. Speaking of liking, go ahead and like the video down below if you did enjoy it. And also make sure to subscribe so you can catch any other videos I come out with. And I will see you guys later, okay? Take care.